What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and another defense spotlight. Everyone has been asking for lots of mystic goodness and trying to put some more of that together for you. And one thing is for certain, in Dungeon Defenders 2, the one thing you can do to any of your builds to instantly improve it is to add a little bit of CC, or crowd control. So any slows, stuns, freezes, or knockups that you can put in with any leftover DU is going to make your build just that much better. Now the Mystic has the Snaking Sands, and at 20 DU, it is just an obvious choice on something you can sneak in without impacting other aspects of your build. Now, in addition to the crowd control, Snaking Sands also just does a whopping amount of damage. Now, one thing to be known is the damage doesn't get applied until you get to the end of its cycle. Now, we are not going to be able to stun the target dummy, so we're not going to be able to see that damage here. However, when that stun goes off, the damage will be applied and it just hits like a truck. So we see at tier 1 we're doing 386,000 stun damage with a 30% chance to crit, adding an additional 2.29 million damage on top of it. Now, being a 20 DU defense, it is all about getting it upgraded. The 20 DU defenses get the most amount of added power for each upgrade over any other defense. Now, when you get this bad boy to tier 5, then you see we're doing 2 million stun damage with a chance to add an additional 12 million on top of it. Now, there's several different ways that you can spec your Snaking Sands, and you can use a medallion or a mark. However, in my opinion, there are two necessary shards. The two necessaries that I always put in, whether I'm using a medallion or a mark, is power transfer and defense critical damage. As you see, I use those in both of these. In fact, let's get a Snaking Sands down and compare them side by side with two really close pieces. So you see this medallion, the primary is 22,179. This mark, the primary is 22,155. Pretty darn close. We've got Vampiric Empowerment, Defense Crit Damage, and Power Transfer in both of them. Now at tier 5 with the medallion, of course it's doing 12 million damage with 2.07 million regular stun damage. So when it crits, it's going to be doing 14 million damage. Now, if we switch that up and go with a mark instead, we see it's only going to be doing 1.15 million stun damage. However, when it crits, it's going to be doing 14.65, it looks like. So it actually is going to do a little bit more when it crits. However, you are going to get more consistent damage by using medallion. Now, if you want to see the slightly bigger number, by all means go with the mark, or if you have a much better mark than you do a medallion, then the mark would be the better choice. However, a medallion will give you the most consistent damage. Now, the third shard, as you see, I'm using Vampiric Empowerment as I'm going straight up just for the maximum amount of damage I can get out of them. However, there is just a ton of utility in the sand traps. A few other viable choices are going to be to add in Sandstorm Warrior, which Sandstorm Warrior is an absolute beast, as it is going to give your Snaking Sands a hero buff, which is going to give you an additional 25% ability power and hero damage for 25 seconds. So when we see this in action, when the Snaking Sands goes off, of course we get the little glow around us, and we got the insta buff to do our increased damage. Absolutely incredible utility. It's ability power and hero damage, so it works with any build. It's a buff that will help any particular hero. Now, a lot of people are going to ask, how come I don't have Deadly Strikes in the mix? And that is, although Deadly Strikes is very, very nice, the Sand Trap has some really nice natural range without having to add in Deadly Strikes. Now, Deadly Strikes, of course, is going to make it that much bigger and that much better. However, without Deadly Strikes, we see the range is still pretty darn nice. In fact, it's just a small increase over what you get without it. So I personally am not going with Deadly Strikes in my Snaking Sands right now. And you can use it if that's the shard you have. It is going to give you a little additional range. However, to completely maximize it, I always look for either Sandstorm Warrior or I throw Vampiric. Now, dependent on what your substats are on your medallion or mark that you're using, and what's the highest, you could get a greater benefit out of defense crit damage or Vampiric Empowerment, and you should swap those in and out to see which ones look like they're the best for you based off of your substats. Now, when looking at our Ascension, as with all damaging towers in the utility category, the very first thing you want to add in is defense crit chance. So get your defense crit chance maxed up. From there, you're going to want to go into stun duration, then the range gambit, and then anything else you can directly into defense crit damage. In the defense category, now the recharge time on Snaking Sands is always 8 seconds. However, if you look at your medallion, it still shows defense speed as a useful stat. Now, there's been some debate on exactly what you get on the Snaking Sands out of defense speed, and some people seem to believe that the defense actually spins up quicker and gets to the stun faster with the defense speed on it. Now, I personally don't focus heavily on defense speed with my Snaking Sands, so although I do put the 20 points into it, I always go right into defense power with my Ascension from there. And of course, the offense category doesn't affect the Snaking Sands, so no need to go there. So that will do it for now. Thank you for watching. Click that like button and please subscribe, and I hope this helped you out getting a little bit of crowd control into your builds. At 20 DU, it is just an awesome choice to add in to slow things down and bring them to a halt on any build you do. So thanks once again, and I'll see you next time.